Hi there, my name's James Jackson and I'm the Head of Integrations at MachShip. In this video, I'm going to show you how our shipment syncing integration works for MYOB Advanced / Acumatica. I'm going to run you through the end-to-end process and in real time and show you exactly how the process works from the point of creating a shipment all the way through to the consignment being consigned and information flowing back into MYOB. Before I jump fully into the demo, I just want to quickly explain to you how I've set up this demo environment. Okay, so inside MYOB Advanced, I've set up two locations. Okay, that is a Sydney location and a Melbourne location. Sydney location is called Main, Melbourne's called Melbourne. Okay, now inside MachShip, I'm operating under a company called Shawford Enterprises. Okay, now underneath that company, as a child company, has been set up a Melbourne and Sydney warehouse. There's also an Adelaide and international warehouse, but those aren't being used for this purpose. Now, what are companies for and why does this matter? What companies do is allow you to control access to consignments in MachShip. So, for example, in this use case, it means that when a consignment is created, or a shipment, is created inside MYOB Advanced for Melbourne, it flows under the Melbourne company, and users such as warehouse staff underneath that Melbourne company can only see those Melbourne consignments. Okay, so it's how we control access inside MachShip with these companies, and by mapping the MYOB Advanced companies to the MachShip company, it means that all of the shipments flow correctly underneath those companies, and then those users can only see them. Something that I'll show you in a little moment. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go into the sales orders. Now I've created two sample sales orders here. Okay, this sales order 2 and then sales order 3. In this under sales order 2, okay, you'll see here I've given a description Sydney test TNT. The reason is because my items are assigned to Sydney, and under shipping on the ship file I've set it to TNT. So what we're essentially saying here is this is pre-selecting the carrier for this consignment to go on. Okay, something that's quite common. Now, if I go back to the other sales order 3, now on this one, you'll see inside here, it should be allocated to Melbourne, so I'm going to change. And then on the shipping here, you'll see that it's allocated to a ship via called cheapest, something that we've set up. I'm also going to set this preferred warehouse development as well. Cool, so this is cheapest. Now, for cheapest, we haven't mapped this to a carrier in MachShip, which means it will automatically get allocated to the cheapest available carrier. So the way you may use these ship files is you may have customers that have preferred carriers or something like that, in which case the job can be pre-allocated to them via ship files, or you can use this cheapest option, which would mean the cheapest carrier is then allocated. Okay, so I'm going to save on this. Great. Okay, so now I've got those two sales orders and they're both ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is ship them. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the regular shipping process that you would inside MYOB Advanced. So I'm going to open up this one first. Okay, and I'm going to hit create shipment. And this is my Sydney one. I'm going to hit create. Okay, great. So now I'm going to jump across into MachShip. Okay, and I'm going to hit refresh. Straight away, you'll see that this one is already there. Okay, this shipment. You know it's the correct shipment because if I jump across now, you'll see it has a shipment number of 3, and it's come across as a shipment number of 3. Okay, now if I open this one up by clicking on the PC number just here, you'll see that TNT has been pre-allocated. Okay, you'll also see that the axle that I come across, 2 of those I've come across with the items pre-filled from inside MachShip. Now, for the view, you can either have this view or this route view, right? You'll see here TNT is pre-selected, so therefore it's highlighted the TNT services. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this one, okay, and I'm going to hit create. Now, what will happen is typically it takes up to 5 minutes. Now, we can enable webhooks, which does make it near instant, but a standard is 5 minutes. But you'll see here it's dropped from this pending consignment section down into this unmanifested section, okay, up here with the carrier pre-allocated. So now I'm going to jump back across into MYOB to this specific shipment, okay. So I'm going back to the shipment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit refresh. You'll see now this shipment is already confirmed, and if I go to the packages section, you'll see it's written back T&T Road Express here. You'll see that it's got the carrier consignment number, and it's got a tracking link here inside the reference field. Okay, so that's the process end to end. So just sort of what was going on under the behind the sheets here. So first thing, the shipment was created. It immediately created a pending consignment in MachShip. So a pending consignment can be considered a draft, right? Which basically means everything's pre-filled. It's just getting confirmed by a picker or a packer. We then finally allocated the service, hit create, the labels would have printed out, and then within a few minutes, all the data is written back onto here and it's marked as confirmed. Okay, I'm going to run through the process again and talk through a little bit more as to what's happening and some of the options that are available on that second shipment. So I'm going to go back into my sales orders here, and I'm going to go into this one. Okay, so with this one, this is the Melbourne cheapest. Now you'll see here it's allocated to Melbourne. It's got the item big wheel. I'm going to hit create shipment. Okay, it's pre-allocated to Melbourne. So now inside MachShip, I'm going to jump back into my parent company, right? And you'll see here it is. This is the shipment that was just created. Okay, so it's properly mapped to the warehouse, and you'll see here it's mapped 3 wheels as the inventory items. It's also come across as routing cheapest. So if I go now into the route carrier selection drop-down, you can see I have the opportunity to see all of my carriers to choose from. And in this case, I'm going to select Toll IPEC. Okay, so now I'm going to hit create on this one. So again, typically if webhooks enabled, we would update near instantly. In this case, it isn't, so it can take up to 5 minutes to update. With a little bit of movie magic, we're not going to sit here for 5 minutes, don't worry about that. Okay, so now I'm going to hit refresh on this shipment. Okay, give it a moment. Great, so you'll see it's confirmed. Under shipping, right, you'll see that we've actually overwritten the ship via as TGE IPEC because that was the carrier that was allocated. And again, going to the packages, you'll see that we've written back the tracking number, MachShip ID, and tracking link as well as the service that was selected. Okay, so that's the standard process. Now what I'm going to talk you through are a few of the options that are available and common questions that we get at different stages. Firstly, packages. Okay, so when a shipment is created, some clients allocate packages. Now in the use case that I showed you, when the packages were allocated, we simply used the products as the packages. This does happen occasionally, but it's not too common. Where it may be more common is if you had something like you were selling something like air conditioners, right? The items that are on the shipment likely match the items that are shipped, so therefore we can map those and use those to get the package dimensions and weights copied across. Okay. Other clients use a WMS, or inside the shipment themselves, when they add the package, they fill out the length, width, height, and weight field. If you do that, then we can read all of the package data from the packages on the shipment, in which case the users won't have to touch MachShip. Okay, so there's 2 main workflows customers implement. One is the pending consignment workflow, which is what I've demonstrated. In that workflow, they essentially kick off the pick-pack process using MYOB by creating those shipments. They likely walk around, pick and pack in the warehouse, something along those lines. They come into MachShip, they go to the pending consignment screen, they search by the shipment ID, so they type in shipment 123, and then they bring up that pop-up that I showed you before, the pending consignment pop-up. There, they can input the weights and dimensions, okay? They input the weights and dimensions down here. You can use stored weights and dimensions. They select the carrier, and then they create the consignment. So the reason you may want to use this workflow would be if you wanted them to manually select the carriers and see all the prices in MachShip, or you didn't have the capability or interest in capturing the package weights and dimensions inside MYOB Advanced / Acumatica. If you do have that information, or you're able to determine the packages utilizing some of the rules that I mentioned before, or they're either inputting them or the products relate to the packages, then we can bypass this step of inputting data into MachShip completely and just create the consignments and trigger printing of the labels instantly. So essentially what that means is they would hit create on the shipment, and immediately the shipment would basically be confirmed, all the information written, and they would be good to go with invoicing or whatever the next stage is. I hope this has been useful. There are a lot of iterations to this, so customers use these integrations in completely different ways. For example, some clients add a checkbox in here and they mark it as ready for MachShip, and once that's checked and they hit save, that's when we sync the shipment to MachShip. Other clients set up additional selections here, so for example, residential delivery, tailgate delivery, and we automatically map those and ensure that they're included in the price when this shipment is synced across to MachShip. Okay, so there's a number of options, and we do have the capability to map from custom fields and implement custom workflows. But at a high level, I hope this has been valuable in understanding how the integration works, how it flows, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need any clarifications.